that. Oh, we live.
That was Giancarlo. Good.
Oh, Sam. Come. Yeah, good evening, fight fan. That's what Bikins would have said if Mike focused on baseball right now.
Well, the intro was playing, not playing. So good evening, fight fans. Welcome to another great Headkicks and Haymakers. Man, it is our UFC 308 post show. And did 308 absolutely deliver? Man, Ilya Tapora and Max Holloway showed out through rounds 1 and 2. And then in the third round, for the first time in his career, Max Holloway's lights went out. Insert BMF curse, insert I told you that I didn't like going up and down in the weight class. We actually all three had Ilya here winning that. I did not have Max getting his lights put out. I don't believe I said it, but it'd been cool if I did. I was rooting for Max, but nonetheless, Ilya Tapora proved to me he is that dude. And then in the co-main event, where was this Khamzat Chimaev been? This looked like the old school Khamzat Chimaev, the boogeyman Khamzat Chimaev. All week I was like, that guy is not Khamzat Chimaev. That's a phony Khamzat Chimaev with the hair, the nice talking, the respectful stuff. And then when the cage hit, when they went ding ding, we saw the return of the wolf. And he just cranked Robert Whitaker's teeth right out of him. I don't really, Bobby, I'll start with you. I don't really know what to start. I guess Ilya is that guy. He is that dude. I kind of told you, I said, going in, I said, you can't change my mind that Alex Pereira is not the fighter of the year. Hand stamp it. I said, maybe if Max knocks out Ilya, possibly, but what Ilya did might waver me just a tad on fighter of the year, but we'll get into that later. But that's my initial thoughts. Your initial thoughts from UFC 308.
Well, sorry to kill the suspense, but like I said last week, if he was able to finish Max, he would undoubtedly be fighter of the year. And I don't need 3 months or the end of the year to think on it. I definitely understand the argument for Alex with the 3 bodies of work, but let's obviously table that for the second, because the fight absolutely delivered, on both sides. I had it 1-1 going into the third. Max definitely seemed like he was throwing the volume, and Ilya was definitely coming with that power. I was kind of surprised the lack of body work I saw from Ilya. I thought he was going to try to take advantage of that early, but he started using it in that third round. And when that happened, it was pretty shocking. I mean, even though I thought that was a real likely outcome of the result, just seeing it live and actually go down was pretty shocking. I've rewatched it multiple times, and each time it goes down, I'm still at an awe for words. Ilya is undoubtedly him. He is what he was touted as. A lot of people give him shit for being how confident he is, but how can anyone fault him for how confident he is after seeing a performance like that? Because he deserves to ride with that confidence. And, you could feel it like oozing off him all week there. Max was a great opponent, undoubtedly his toughest test, but I don't think Ilya ever really seemed worried in between the rounds or anything like that. He just seemed like he knew what he had to do, and it was just a matter of time, and we did not even need the championship rounds. So hats off to Ilya. Let's get that Volk rematch in Spain. Absolutely time for that. And yeah, you do not squander this moment by really doing anything else. I like how Volk, when he came in the cage, was very respectful, didn't want to take the shine.
Both were. Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely see kind of the humble side of Ilya, which I think a lot of people are not used to seeing. But at the end of the day, he's just as big as fans of these fighters as we are. So yeah, I again at a loss for words, and I just can't believe what we were able to watch.
We just watched Ilya Topuria demolish. I mean, in inside of 4 rounds, what I guess like total of 6 rounds. I guess he knocked out Volk in the second round. So in total 5 rounds, total knocked out 2 GOATs of this division, 2 of the best featherweights of all time inside of a year. Both in their damn primes. Like that's maybe at the end of their primes, but not like, not past the hill. 2 guys that, Volk is probably still the featherweight champion. Max, if it's not, you know what I mean, he would probably still be reigning. Guys who have come on and beat just about anybody, and he didn't even need the judges. Your thoughts on 308 and what we just saw Ilya do to 2 of the featherweight GOATs?
Oh man, bro, let me tell you something. First of all, hats off to Ilya Topuria for. I'm going to start at the end first. Let's start at the end. Hats off for Ilya Topuria for being a professional. A lot of what he was doing before the fight was a lot of gamesmanship. He was making the fight interesting. He was having a lot of back and forth with Max. He was having a lot of slide remarks for Volk and how he put Volk in the retirement home. But then when it was all said and done, he shook hands. He gave everybody props. He wasn't like very outlandish. I was expecting him to keep it going a la Conor McGregor-ish. You know what I'm saying? Which is kind of what I'm going to bring that up again somewhere on the back end. But he was really respectful, and I thought that was cool. That brash, European shirt open, I don't care about nothing thing. Yeah, I think that's a part of his persona, especially leading into fights. But he, like my guy Bobby mentioned, he is a fan of these fighters as well. So got to give him props for that one. Second of all, bro, let me tell you something, man. I have watched one of my favorite hood movies 1,000 times. Y'all know what one of my favorite hood movies is? Boys in the Hood.
I was going to ask you, Boys in the Hood.
Yeah, Boys in the Hood. And each time I see Cuba Gooding Jr. turn around and yell Ricky, I always feel as though Morris Chestnut can get away from getting shot. I watched that fight 3 times, and I felt like each time out of nowhere, the left hook that took down Max Holloway came out of nowhere. What? It was an unexpected shot for me, and I watched it 3 times, man. I feel the same exact way. I mean, I wanted to yell I yelled at my TV the first time. I yelled at it the 3rd time. The 2nd time, I was kind of just, in shock and awe. But, to see a fighter of that caliber, go down in a way that we thought would be his strength. When we were discussing the fight, we were saying, Max Holloway on the hands, man, that's a tough one. I don't think I can go against Max that way. But he took him out standing up and outclassed him in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Bobby mentioned it as well. The volume from Max was on. You know what I'm saying? If you turn the TV up to 34 so you can hit it in the other room. Max looked like Max in round 2. But still
the front kicks to the leg too were hurt. It felt like they were buckling Topuria.
Yeah, and the front kicks were happening. It might look like Max had a bit of a plan. Shout out to the very first round where, of course, Ilya said he was going to point at the ring, and Max, put the matador up. Olay, this is bull, but I'm not stupid. You know what I mean? I thought that was a great little show right there. But then, man, let's look at the numbers like I always do. For the full fight, the total amount of strikes 147 to 209. Guess who had 209? Freaking Max Holloway, bro. How he projected to fight, or how we as fans projected him to fight. He did exactly what we thought would work for him. And somehow, some way, Ilia Topuria found a way to get in the better, more precise strikes, if you will. And when I say precise strikes, I don't know why I feel like I should still be talking about Max Holloway, but I'm talking about Ilia Topuria that and took him out and completely almost stole the game plan away from Max in the third round. But kudos to him for being who he is. Botkins, you threw it out there, bro. He's knocked out two of the greatest in the division in 5 rounds. Knocked them out. Not just went to the scorecard or submitted them or poked him in the eye or something like that. Nah, he clean knocked both of them out, man. So this is where we begin the scary hour of pound for pound rankings eventually, where we have to think about Poatan not being number one, Topuria being number one, and having had earned it in this year.
We're not really just pound. So like Bobby's already making his stake as Topuria's fighter of the year. Are you on that same sentiment? And that's what I mean. Like, it wavered me just a little bit. And I'll talk about why I'm probably still going to ride with Poatan here in just a second. But what's your thoughts on it right now? I mean, Alex Pantoja could win here, and that would be his 3rd win in December. Now,
Stop it.
Pantoja? What? Right.
But I'm just saying there's a nominee. But who is maybe right now in October, almost November, with 2 months left? Can you give it to Poatan, or are you leaning towards Alex Pierre or Topuria?
I think you gotta lean. I think you have to as of right now, seriously, the year's not over. I think we seriously have to put Ilia in the conversation. You have to have it as a sidebar. Don't get me wrong, we've seen Poatan, Alex Pereira, the boogeyman himself, shake up the world with these last 3 pay-per-view saving matches. We have, but he has not faced high-level competition consecutively. You know what I'm saying? I think that's kind of what other people are saying, or when I'm listening to or watching other podcasts. It's just the idea of consecutive high-level competition being taken out in such a violent fashion. And Topuria strikes off both boxes with the knockout of Max Holloway and the knockout of Volk. But Yuri Prohaska, Jamal Hill, and the violence of Khalil Roundtree. It's like having a pizza, and instead of like making like 8 slices, you make it 6. It's still a full pizza to me. You know what I mean? But there's just more slices in one. There's a little thinner slices. But it's hard for me to pick as of right now. Maybe in another week or so, maybe after I watch some of these fights again, see what goes on. And just like you said with Pantoja. But as of right now, man, I'm still going Pereira. But you cannot not have Topuria's 2 toughest, craziest knockouts in the same spectrum right now, or in the same conversation.
Yeah, he's in the conversation. So let me you got something? Go ahead, Bobby. I'll let you go real quick.
I'll do you one better. You know how when the Roundtree fight ended, I said I wanted to see Alex fight Ankalaev.
Yeah.
So this is obviously a hypothetical situation, but let's say instead of him fighting Yuri, he fought Ankalaev instead. I would still be pounding the table for Ilia to be fighter of the year. And it is simply just how much more technical the smaller weight classes are opposed to the bigger guys, and let alone the strength of competition. Like, he knocked out someone known to be like on the pound for pound list at the very top. And, you know, regarding that list, I would put him at number 2, right under Islam. He definitely hops Alex.
2 Hall of Fame. Well. You could say he knocked out 2 Hall of Famers. You know, I think that's, you know.
Undoubtedly 2 Hall of Famers. One that has never been finished and one that never lost in that weight class.
So here's my counter argument to why I'm still going to go with Pierre with Poton. Okay. I'm going to start with Topuria. You knocked out, you did beat Alexander, you did beat Volk, but, and there's a big but, he took that fight coming off a bad head kick in not enough rest, not enough time. I think everybody agrees with that. I mean, he didn't agree with that, but everybody else can say that, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe that fight's different. If he doesn't take the Islam fight, the second Islam fight that's, you know, on short notice and get head kicked, right? We've seen guys take a year plus off after a vicious head kick. I mean, Justin Gaethje, after getting knocked out, has even just started sparring again. So much less get back in the octagon. So I will say, like, let's butt that one. Now, I ask you this.
Let's come back to that one when you're done, please, because I want to add something to that.
Okay. I'll say this. I'll ask you this. When we started the year, what did we say was the biggest what's the biggest card that everybody wanted to be on when we started the year? UFC 300.
300, yeah.
Who came in short notice, saved the UFC's ass, and not on the biggest card of the year, the biggest card of the year that they can have, who headlined and who knocked out his opponent in about 13 seconds?
Hey, you know.
You guys want to fill in the
biggest card of the year with what we just saw on Saturday?
That was the big number card going into the year, the start of the year. Right?
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
Yeah, and then what's the next biggest event that the UFC puts on? UFC International Fight Week, right? That's always that's usually the biggest card of the year, right? Again, who saves the UFC in short notice fights? Saved him in a short notice fight in the second biggest card of the year and knocked out his opponent in the second round. Alex Pereira.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then they call him 2 months later, save our ass one more time because we want to do Islam in Abu Dhabi. We can't do it. He's hurt. So we had to give him Max and Ilya in Islam because we got to feed the oil. We got to make the oil monk, the money makers in the oil machine, you know, happy because like they're throwing all this money. But we also got to do something here for the Mormons because they paid a shit ton of money here for us to come to Salt Lake City. Who does he call one more time? None other than Alex Pereira, who again knocks out. And it's not his fault that Ankalaev had a fight booked. That's not that we're discrediting Alex Pereira because he didn't fight Ankalaev. Who's the matchmaker? As far as we know, every time he has said yes. And they already booked Ankalaev versus Rakic in Saudi before they ever booked Poton versus Roundtree. And what happens again when he saves him again? He knocks out, he stops Roundtree in the fourth round. So therefore, I'm gonna have to say right now, because of the how he did it, and I get that what Ilya's done, and I tip my cap to him. He beat 2 goats, but how he did it in the short notice fights and on the 2 biggest damn stages. The one that everybody circled, UFC 300, then it's International Fight Week. Saved the UFC not once, but twice, and he knocked him out and beat him on the stage. And then you get to Salt Lake. You know what I didn't hear? I get it from Saudi yesterday on Saturday. So the crowd's already shit because they don't cheer very much. When he was in Salt Lake, what was the whole crowd doing? Chama, 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 chama. And I'm going to keep chanting Chama all the way to the end, baby, because right now he's still my fighter of the year.
Okay. So
that was a very spirited conversation. I just want to say that.
I'm not disagreeing with really anything you're saying, because all that stuff is true. It might just at the end of the day come down to how we look at it. But going off some of those points, first off, with how how Ilya set up Volk, getting him to go back against the cage. In my opinion, Volk would have got knocked out either way, head kick or no.
Probably.
And that's just exactly how Ilya did the same way to set up to get Max out of there. Now, I love that you use 300, because at the end of 300, I'm sorry, we weren't talking about Alex Pereira. We were talking about Max Holloway.
I'll give you that.
Man just put him out. So, like, I completely get the, if there is a MVP who saved the UFC's ass more, it's undoubtedly Potent. But for me, I guess the more I'm thinking about this out loud, I think my fighter of the year is really in the cage, because it kind of seems to be how I'm rating it. Because I don't really disagree with anything you're saying about how much he's helped him out. That is all kind of indisputable, but at the same time, at the end of the day, like, I don't think we'll ever see 2 back-to-back wins that impressive again.
And we probably haven't seen it since John Jones, right? What he beat, like Machida, and I feel like there was somebody else in there that was on
when he was in his like motherfucker stage. That would probably like be the comparison to be going back to. But and the crazier part about it is it's not like Potent's been to decision. He had finishes in all these fights. And I still have this of, I'm not trying to rate one knockout over the other.
No, I get it. I get it. I respect what you're saying, Bobby, and I get it too. Because like those 2 guys, what he did to those 2 guys is insane.
Because what Potent did to those 3, to me, was not necessarily shocking. To where with Max, my jaw was on the floor.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. You can definitely make a case. I'm just, it's personal preference, and that's what makes it all fun.
But bottom line, hell of the year for the UFC. Like the fact that all of this happened in 1 year is wild.
Yeah, and they're building new stars right now. Ilya is now the new star. And speaking of him, it looks like it could be him and Alex next. I think everybody's seems like they're both on board with that. Is that what you're on board with, Bobby?
I have absolutely no issue with it. Like, I'd love to see Diego get a shot, but I actually loved how Ilya dealt with it in the cage, saying, I want to fight both of them. But then him upping Volk and saying, you absolutely deserved it. Yep. That moment was almost as special as, what we just witnessed in the cage.
Yeah.
And it kind of gets you excited for the build of that fight, too. Now, I'm very interested to see what improvements Volk has made off that, because he's definitely going to have to make some. But I'm assuming that happens like middle of 2025. And it sounds like they're pretty heavy in talks already as far as going to Spain. So I think there's a 0% chance it happens in February. I know the PR team in Sydney is trying to put that out. What I really do not want to happen is for them to do a cash move and make Diego. I'd love to see Diego and Volk, but please do not put some horseshit interim belt on the line, because you need to have a belt for a paper, especially after what this man just did. Like,
agree. Interim should only be when the guy's hurt. We know, you know what I mean, or he's holding up the vision. Go ahead, Whit.
Right. So scary hours. We're talking about what's going on with Topuria, right? All right. So y'all know me. I watch a lot of sports, but sometimes I at one point in time I was a crazy wrestling fan. One of the Mount Rushmore of wrestlers had said this one time. Ric Flair said, if you want to be the man, you gotta beat the man. Okay. And what has everyone and their mama been saying? This is just me just putting something out there right now. what's everybody and their mama been saying recently? Oh, Ilya's like the new age Conor McGregor. Oh, he just like Conor in his prime. Oh, look at how he swings. He could be just like Conor. Now, somehow, some way, magically, of course, y'all know how the internet goes. Conor gets whiff of this. It's been going ham. I have Twitter. I have Instagram. I have at one point in time followed several people in Conor's camp. They've been going ham on this subject, and I'm just saying, we want to.
It doesn't help. 50 million on betting on Witt and on Max. So
yeah, I listen, and the thing is, Conor, as a betting man, wants his money back, bro. And you know how he wants to get that money back with his own bare hands. I promise you. And somehow, some way, I feel later on, if you say Volk deserves shot one, A1 Volkanovski, right? And he takes Volk out, no questions, head kick, knockout, whatever, round 1, round 2, round 3, whatever. The next thing that we have to consider, money fight wise, which also the light heavyweight championship the heavyweight championship will be in a similar fashion. If, let's say, John Jones takes out Stipe Miocic, we want to see John Jones take on who? Tom Aspinall, right? Why wouldn't we want to see Ilia Topuria take on the notorious Conor McGregor? Finally, something for him to not bitch and moan about.
What weight class are you trying to do this at?
I have an answer to that question.
Why would? Okay,
because,
so
because Conor's on cocaine. He ain't on meth, so he ain't getting to 145.
He's not getting. Of course, he's not getting to 145. He's not getting to 145 right now. It would take a hell of a lot of weight cutting, taking out all his vitamins in order to do it. So in my mind, you gotta turn it up a notch, just a little bit, And look, if it's not going to be at feather, so okay, we make it at light. We make it at light. Okay,
he ain't making 155. Him and Mike Chandler are going to fight at 170. Ilya's too small to fight at 170.
Ilya, but where would you put this at? You see what I'm saying? Where could it be where this is just something that's going to happen?
I personally don't think Conor McGregor ever steps in the octagon ever again.
I am in somewhat of agreement with you, but I'm saying if the money and the name matter, I feel like it's just
money.
Me.
This motherfucker got money with. He's a billionaire. He don't need it.
But you know what? But let's think about it. Michael Chandler, it doesn't get him off anymore. It was not exciting. It's Michael Chandler, nothing. But this thought of taking the guy who's taking him out or taking his name off of the record books, or let's say pushing him to the side in fandom, I feel like would be the, hey, look, I can do this in my sleep. Conor McGregor wakes up. We shake the beast. We've got something for him to come to the world stage for in 2025 International Fight Week, which would also
that's where you host the Spain fight. But I mean, they'll bring Conor to Vegas.
I'm saying the Spain fight will happen with Volk first, right? An International Fight Week will, of course, take place. But what will happen in Spain? Conor will be there. They'll pan to him on camera. They'll look for Conor. Conor will be in the ring, right? Because I'm telling you, the fire will be lit by this time. They will have stoked the flames. Freaking what's Ariel Helwani would have talked about it at least 3 or 4 times. It will be something worth putting the money on the table and shutting up and saying, all right, we'll do it. Because you know why? This will be something to pair with what you want, big guy. You want to see Tom Aspinall, John Jones?
It's not. That's not
you want to see Tom Aspinall, John Jones?
That's more reality than Conor McGregor, I feel like. Conor's not coming back. He sure as shit ain't fighting Ilya Topuria.
I can agree with you. It's a reality, but in a fantasy world, bro, what brings Conor McGregor out right now is that right there.
White powder substance. That's what brings him out.
And listen, right after that, he can hit all. It'll be all waiting for him in the hotel room. But That's just, it's a fantasy, people. It's a fantasy. I know somebody in the chat is going, hell no, he would never. But think about it. I think that would be dope, though. Straight up.
Go ahead, Bobby.
2025.
Are you subscribing to this notion of Conor and Ilya?
It would even crack my top 5 for matchups I want to see Ilya in. I completely understand what Whit is saying as far as like the draw power and all that, and like the money that could be made. But the most respectful way I can say this is Ilya is fighting for titles and defending titles. Conor can't even get up to fight Michael fucking Chandler. I do not think that even if it's at 170, you just see that power translate even more. Like in the fantasy matchup, like, would I watch it? Sure, of course. But the greatest part about featherweight right now is how good it is, because everything is fresh. And the last thing I want to do is insert someone that is completely not serious into it. I personally, when I saw Conor tweeting all that shit, I thought he was trying to call out Max Holloway for the BMF. I did not think he was really referring to Ilya. He kind of then clarified it and said it was Ilya. And
he also retired the same night.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I saw Ariel talk about it, and like I understood the intrigue and stuff, but like for me, like this is why Ilya is such an appeal to me, is because he's taking all these fights. He's like, I want to fight all these people. Like that'd be a cool fight in maybe a few years when he has some under his belt, but I'd be more personally interested in seeing him go up to fight Islam than Conor. And I think that's also
I'd like
a
to
lot
see
more
him
likely.
If Sean O'Malley stepped up, you know what I mean? I think that sign me up for that more than I sign me up for.
Yeah, isn't it O'Malley? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I understand the sentiment of the idea, but I also don't like it. We don't understand this as much because, we're in the States, but like there is a decent argument that like worldwide, like it very well could be Ilya, who is the more well-known.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed.
Currently it is still Conor, absolutely. But like that rub is eventually going away. Like, why do you think he's even tweeting? Because like he's trying to remind us, hey guys, remember me? Like, when you're at the like, I don't even want to like put an example for that. But
yeah,
like I get it completely, but for me, I want to see I would much rather see a Max rematch than a Conor McGregor fight.
Yeah,
because like eventually he'll get to a point where he's fighting people and they got to give him some new contenders.
It's wild how fast his star has risen, because it just seems like not too long ago he had that hotel water thing with him and Patty Pimblett, and it was like, who's this guy trying to poke at Patty Pimblett, right? And now it's like Patty's here and Ilya's way up here.
So it's I got all the bookmarks of people saying that Patty would knock him out.
Yeah.
So could you imagine? And keep in mind, we said this in Patty's last fight. Granted, he's at 155, but he's closer to getting a title shot than he isn't. Granted, completely different weight class, but like, if I could pick Topuria or Patty, or Topuria and Conor, give me Topuria and Patty all day. And I think it's just more because of the activity. If Conor had one fight under his belt, I might completely be singing a different tune. So it might be recency bias, but like, I don't know. I'm at the point with Conor where it's shit or get off the pot.
Yeah, agreed. Let's move. I want to get into the co-main event here, because our guy Rob said Alex versus Hamzat for the light heavyweight title. Hamzat probably weighed 185 or 205 going into the fight. Didn't make championship weight, but did make weight. And I mean, he absolutely just scorched Robert Whittaker and popped his teeth right out of his mouth.
Crazy.
I do feel like if I'm the UFC, I don't give a shit about Sean Strickland. We saw that fight. Wasn't clamoring that fight was great. It was a close fight, but it wasn't like, fight of the year type material. Give me Hamzat versus DDP. And now speaking of Alex has kind of thrown his hat again back in the middleweight. But I personally give me Hamzat versus DDP yesterday. Go ahead, Whit. We'll start with you.
Man, straight up. Big shouts out to Robert Whittaker, man, the Reaper, because he's gonna go in the Hall of Fame eventually. He's had a storied career, but man, like I don't know if I've seen a dog attack a piece of meat like that in so long. You know what I mean? It was just we saw. First of all, let me say this: I saw Robert Whittaker in the fight presser go, seriously, hey, look, I'm not going to wrestle him. I'm going to keep the fight standing. I'm going to do what makes the fight work best for me. And Hamzat said straight up and down, I don't think we need 5 rounds. Oh no, I don't think we need 25 minutes. Yeah, and I was like, oh yeah, he's not playing. And when a fighter says something like that and basically sticks to his word, man, kudos to him. So you know what I'm saying. Coming out there and popping a guy's lower mandible. You know how quick you got to be to pop somebody's lower mandible ridge? That's the bottom of your jaw right here, and just pop it off. Like I don't know what type of training he's been doing when we weren't watching him fight, but man, let me tell you, I don't know if I want to get in the ring with anybody with that type of considerable strength and to do it so quickly. But back to the question. Do we want to see Dricus Hamzat? I do. Sign me up for that right now. Look, I think one of the things that made Dricus du Plessis so intriguing as he climbed the ranks was I felt like we didn't really get a good enough look at him, and then all of a sudden he was really good. This is a very similar aspect where I felt like we really didn't get a good enough look at Hamzat, and then he fought what's my guy? Blank drawing.
Usman.
Then he fought Usman and we got a little skeptical. Yeah, we was like, oh, Usman almost got him. Usman fought him on 4-day notice. But that didn't mean nothing in this ring and what we just saw against Sean Strickland, who undoubtedly has one of the most storied careers in the division. This is where I think, it's unfortunate that Sean Strickland isn't an exciting fighter, and he already lost to the champ. The people who make fights I think are going to be more intrigued by the question mark more than the answer. You guys see what I'm saying? We've already got an answer for Dricus and Sean Strickland, but we don't have one for Dricus and Hamzat Chimaev. We barely have one for Hamzat at all because half of a round this was over. We haven't even seen him pressed to tough oppositions yet. But another thing that I heard, and I'm gonna be honest with you, it makes so much sense. I want Hamzat to fight while he is healthy. Yeah, he ain't got no health scares. He ain't got scabies. He don't got staph infection. He ain't catch pneumonia. Nobody coughed on him. He doesn't have COVID or anything. I would like to see him active while the opportunity is there, because we have seen several instances of Hamzat Chimaev being hyped up, ready to go, and something happening with his immune system to take him cold cock out of fights up until last weekend. So I love the idea, gentlemen. I'm right on there on the Dricus du Plessis train. I'm sorry, Sean Strickland is stylistically and already having had proven himself to be at a loss is not as exciting to me as a Dricus fight with Hamzat Chimaev. But once again, we gotta go with the question mark. We want to see what that matchup will be like, especially after he put the pause on Robert Whittaker in such a defining manner. Like that was ridiculous to see, and then to realize, oh my God, he barely got the clinch on him, and Robert was tapping. Like, that is crazy strength, man. So kudos to Hamza on his win, and also big shouts out to Robert Whittaker. I know he didn't want to go out like that, but hey, it is what it is, man. He's still one of the best in the division, even after taking a very tough loss like that.
Bobby, what's your thoughts here on, is it Hamzat next for the title shot?
Yeah, we need to back up quite a bit, actually. So take it back to I was watching the weigh-ins, and because of the time difference, they were on like 11 o'clock my time.
Yeah,
which is kind of I can really get used to that. That was pretty cool, like doing a nightcap with watching the weigh-ins and stuff. And I originally picked him on the show. I thought he seemed locked in. I saw the embedded. It's like, okay, we might be seeing more of the old here. And then I had to like listen to the pre-show and stuff, because he took his time getting to the scale. Granted, he has all this time, but they were like laying it on heavy in the show, like almost getting us used to it. Like it reminded me of the that live Ringer episode that was like 4 hours when he missed weight with Nate and stuff.
yeah.
And so I was like going back, and I'm like, ain't liking what I seen. I think I'm gonna have to ride with Rob here. And then lo and behold, he had like 12 minutes left. He got on the scale. Yeah, he looked a little bit drained. But then that next morning, when they're doing the ceremonials, oh my Lord, he looked locked in. It's like, okay, hopefully Rob can keep his distance, because if he doesn't, he is going to get taken a hold of, and it'll probably be a short night. And getting the tap that way, like Chimaev absolutely did everything he needed to like do a leapfrog situation or make the UFC think a different way. And almost. Sorry about that, brain fart. So basically, getting back to the title shot aspect, I saw a lot of stuff in that press conference with Dana that I thought was really telling. Him saying, "Ask me Tuesday," was pretty shocking. I figured he would use his time to be like, absolutely, he's next. Did you see what he just did to Robert Whittaker? And Dana's reluctance to do that makes me think that he's addressing the elephant in the room that nobody wants to address.
Whether Hamzat can travel.
Where can he fight? Now, he came out before the fight and said he could fight anywhere. He's good to go. So, if that's the case, if he's good to go in the next 2 months, are they going to give it to him? To me, it still feels like a lot of maybes, like not taking out what he did in the cage there, especially if they're talking about going to a place that has like a site fee or something. They don't want to deal with having to like replace the main event. So in a perfect world, I think that's absolutely what they'd want to do. However,
he could travel and everything else, you know what I mean? Like he would be good. And it's funny that you said ask him Tuesday, because what's on Tuesday? The election.
But like, this is the thing. Like Dana's answer felt like, let me give him an answer to get out of here.
Yeah.
And granted, I don't think they're gonna wait for the presidential election to make the move. Like, they need title fights. And I think that is probably the best thing that Sean Strickland still is going for. I was very clear on the last time. Like, I think he still deserves it, but he's definitely playing with fire sitting out. That being said, I could see opposite arguments. He'd probably say something like, all he did was finish the guy that Drickus finished. And my biggest takeaway in Drickus wanting this fight is how tough of a fight is Sean Strickland if Dricus Du Plessis is willingly asking for Chimaev. To me, that's very telling.
Well, I would say this is Sean Strickland's never beat or fought Bobby Knuckles. And I always feel like to get a title shot, you got to beat Robert Whittaker because he's like the gatekeeper to get to the title, right? Much like Max Holloway at 145. And if you beat him, you get the title shot. Sean Strickland has never done that. We're giving him a title shot. Everybody wants to talk about, well, he gets a title shot. He beat a fucking Pablo Costa who hasn't won a fight since, he
beat Izzy, who beat Rob twice.
Yeah. I mean, to get to the title, but to win the title, but then he lost it. And then we're like, oh, your one win against Paulo Costa, who hasn't won a fight since 2015. We're going to give him a title shot off of that. Again, I don't know. I think.
I mean, the only reason they're doing that
prior to Whittaker is his track record's not great. Just the way he did it, it is more exciting. And maybe DDP just says, "Hey, I already beat Sean, and it was a tough fight." But when you see somebody like that, and you want to, also when you're the champion, you got to think what's more money, people Hamzat or Sean Strickland.
Equal amount of money, because
I think Hamzat. People would pay to see Hamzat.
Like, why wouldn't if it's all about like the pay-per-view points and everything? Why wouldn't Dricus just get that like work with Sean, get some pay-per-view points in there, get in their defense on it? He would make more money fighting Chimaev then than he would if he fought him right now.
Yeah, and I don't know, because the Chimaev train is back on track, baby. That's why.
And this is what I'm going to throw in there, you guys. The culturally, and I remember earlier we were talking about who were we talking about? We were talking about Iliad Taporia in European lore, how much of a powerful draw that is to a place like Spain. I have a feeling that the Saudi Emirates and the guys over there doing the Riyadh seasons and the people putting these matchups together, the money together, are starting to take ownership of their favorite fighters. When I say that, I'm talking about guys like, when I say ownership, I don't mean like they're running them, but I mean they are saying, if you come with us, if you're with us, then look, we give you the best amenities, we give you the best training facilities. You can bring your trainers here. One example is Shara Nurmagomedov. I believe they are.
Yeah, that's like because he can get. That's part of the reason is because that's the only place he can get.
Yeah, that's the only place he can fight. That's the only place they let him fight because of the eye thing. Yeah, right. And I think the other one is Hamzat, right? Because I think that they're going, look, you went somewhere else, you got sick, you didn't fight. You come here, alhamdulillah, you're alive, you win the fight, you throw your mouthpiece out, we're taking care of you. I think that somewhere in there that is what they want, and the best bet is for him to fight internationally, but they will have a bigger draw monetarily with the UFC internationally in an Islamic country with somebody like Chimaev on there on the books.
I agree with you 100%, and that's precisely why I think Strickland is next.
You're probably right. I mean, you're probably right. Yeah. It probably is going to be Sean, but I'm just saying
they ain't going to Saudi until like February, and that's like a fight night. And I absolutely think that title fight for him will be back there for sure. Because why are they not gonna appease that?
And you got to wait for Ramadan to start and end and all that as well. So
right, definitely got to do that. Because they ain't playing. They ain't playing.
Is probably next as far as like how they're gonna do it. But I just think Hamzat should be next.
For me, it's a win-win because if Strickland doesn't fight Dricus, I get my rematch with Izzy that I've been wanting to see. So either way, I'm going to get a rematch in a Sean Strickland fight. I thought the first Strickland Dricus fight was great. It was a throw-up fight.
It was a good fight. It was a good fight.
It was like, and you got to keep in mind, it's not like the UFC likes Sean Strickland. I think a big reason why Dana is touting him as next and stuff, because Dana still to this day thinks that he won that fight against Rickus.
Boom, there you go.
Now, granted, it only matters what those 3 judges in Canada said as far as who the champion is. But I think that has a little bit more power than him taking out Rob. Because at the end of the day, I love Rob, but he was still 3.
Yeah. You're right on most of that. I believe so. I just want to hit on a couple more parts. 308 here, and I want to take a quick look at the Edmund card before we get out of here. I believe we're all in agreement. Ankalaev, nice win. Looks like he is next for Alex.
More importantly, Dana's in agreement with that.
Yeah, yeah.
I had a short takeaway. Yes. That was one I definitely had to rewatch, and I don't know, maybe I'm just an asshole, but the first viewing I didn't think much, but then when I went back and watched it, he did everything he needed to do, and we got what we wanted there, because he will be next. I think that will probably be when they go back to Brazil.
Wait, you mentioned Shara Bullet earlier. How far can he go? And he's talking about fighting. He's already signed up for that February card. So it'll be another quick turnaround for him. I mean, what a hell of a knockout. The old get off me, double back, back elbow. But how far can he go here with the one eye and just keep putting him in some fun fights, or do you keep lining guys up that he can beat just for fun?
I mean, this is an entertainment value guy. He's a name. He's got the skill set. He's got a face. He's got everything that I think, when we think of exciting fighters, especially international ones, he's got all of he strikes all of the boxes. He can fight. He actually has more than one way that he can beat you, but we've only seen it really pretty much, with the hands off right now. But I mean, man, where can he go really depends on how much the UFC wants him to fight anywhere but where they would allow him to fight. And right now, of course, that's basically in the United Arab Emirates countries, which would be Saudi Arabia, and anywhere else that would pretty much allow him to, based on the fact that he's got that eye. I think he's somebody right now. Let me look. I think I put the rankings up. Right now he's 14, and right now he's 14. Huh?
Shara Bullet's 14.
Sharmagomedov, right?
Yeah.
14? Yeah, he's at 14. And I thought he was going to creep up a little more, but 14 is cool. Like, he'll be that guy. Every time you got to go somewhere, you want to come up in the rankings a little bit, you got to fight Shara Bullet. He's scary, but he's not. I don't think that because of the condition, he can creep up into top 10, title contention type thing. But he did call out Israel Adesanya. Yeah, I think he jumped too high. Something I did see was Michael Venom Page, go on and talk with Ariel and say, yeah, he called out my brother Israel. Israel's trying to get back straight to the title. So instead of calling out my brother, why not see me? And let's have a nice stand-up and blase. I think that is something interesting that we could look into. But of course, we got to see what goes on next with Michael Venom Page. But it's a draw, as in mid-card style name. Everybody would love to be that person to set a card off with an exciting fight, or somewhere in the middle right before you get to the main or co-main. So I'm not mad at him for being who he is, but it's unfortunate due to his condition that I don't think we'll be able to see him creep up high enough to be like title contender type.
Who would have thought that a guy with one eye who can't fight in the United States would be ranked before Bo fucking Nickel?
Oh yeah, there we and that's another thing.
A lot more active.
Right. Some Bo Nickel. We got Bo Nickel down there waiting, creeping his way in. I mean, but
what's Paul Craig ranked? Or
he's not anymore.
Ranked? Yeah, he's not anymore.
Yeah.
Mo
is a minus 1,000 favorite though.
That's too cheap at the house. I think big picture 2025, we are going to get a lot more fights back there. But this might be a hot take, but I think if Las Vegas sanctions that power slap horse shit, they will definitely sanction One-Eyed Willie.
One-Eyed Fighter.
I'm pretty sure he's gotten pretty good at passing tests and faking tests. We've literally seen Bisping do it and win a championship. So Dana has made it clear that he prefers to keep him there, and they probably could with the amount of events they're going to do there.
They're going to each place like 3 times a year, whether it's Saudi Arabia or Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, give me. I'm all about that MVP fight, but if we're sticking in his division, give me Paulo Costa all day.
Ooh, that's a nice test.
Yeah, Paulo called for that fight. He said,
"Yeah, he said a lot of things that he seemed like he'd be interested in that." Yeah, I mean, the question really is how far can he go? Because especially with the fan base he brings, he's very big in China as well.
Yeah,
so
China.
I wouldn't rule them out putting him on future cards there. And I will wonder eventually if they decide to give him if they're trying to kill him off, for example, I'd say, hey, give him Fluffy. But obviously, I don't think they have any interest in doing that one for obvious, fight style reasons. But it would eventually be cool to see him fight a grappler. But why ruin the fun right now? Let's just keep it going.
Yeah, agreed. I'm good with that. Let's get into this Saturday real quick. It's UFC Edmonton. So for all the way back across the pond here, headlined by Brandon Keith. That's three. Well, I guess really the main and co-main are huge. Derek Lewis is on this card as well. Derek Lewis, how about this? A dog on the card plus 145. You might as well just go ahead and bet it. I know the guy he's fighting is another Brazilian undefeated. But more importantly, the main event, Brandon Moreno versus Amir Albazi. 2 of the top flyweights who, Moreno's never been finished. Now has lost some fights. And then in the co-main, you got maybe a kind of who's next almost. It should be Mian Finrod versus Valentina next at some point in time. But waiting in the wings is going to be the winner of this fight, Rose Namajunas and Aaron Blanchfield.
That should be the main event.
Probably so. But unfortunately, it's not. It's the men's flyweight here. Whit, I'll start with you. What's your kind of takeaway? Which fight you looking in who here in the main and co-main event this Saturday?
So let's just jump right on it, bro. So we always talk about the women's flyweight division being one of the most exciting, one of the most fluid, the women, as far as that's concerned. When you think about the flyweights, it's really a who's who for, let's say, the last 6 months. We got Alexa Grasso, of course, up there. Shevchenko, Mignon, Ferrero, whichever one, and then Blanchfield, right? So now Rose Namajunas, can she get back up to 1 or 2 to get one of these storied, closed out, put your gloves down fights that we would kind of want to see for women's mixed martial arts, and possibly maybe do Shevchenko, Thug Rose once again? I think that would be exciting. And then somewhere right up there, just like you mentioned it, man, we never. It's crazy that a guy like Brandon Moreno never gets finished, but he just gets beat on the card. Like, you know what I'm saying? Brandon Royval beat him on the card. Oh no! And then all of a sudden, we got to fight Pantoja, beat him on the card. But somehow, some way, if we don't get to the scorecard, Moreno is a guy that I like to see fight. As long as it doesn't get to the scorecard, because for some reason, Brandon Moreno is just has bad luck in the judges' eyes. It's just being honest with you. I felt like he beat Pantoja at least one time, but of course, other people didn't see it that way. I'm excited to see what it looks like going up against this guy, of course, because somehow, some way, this is another opportunity for him to try to slide back up there with Amir Albazi, because Albazi's not to be slept on at all. And this is one of those occasions where, look, hey, somebody's got to take the L and maybe take it before it gets to the scorecard. And then right under the co-main, where is Derek Lewis at in life right now? Is this train hard Derek Lewis, or is this, eat food and joke about it Derek Lewis? Like, so we got to see it. You know what I'm saying? Of course, the most knockouts in the division ever. I think it's one of those things. He's a draw no matter where he's at. But once again, you got to see him in person, right? Botkins out there in St. Louis.
Yeah.
So look, I'm interested in seeing it. But those top two, the co-main and main, basically flyweight women's division. Let's see if we can get Thug Rose back in the title contention, and let's see if Brandon Moreno can remain one of the top guys in the division and still a win away from the judges who do not like him anytime it goes to the end of the fight.
You want to pick a winner in the main and co-main?
Yeah, let's go. Let's go ahead and throw it out there, man. I'm going Moreno, and I'm going Thug Rose, man. Let's go Moreno and Thug Rose. Let's give him some love.
Bobby, this seems like one of the most active Thug Roses we've seen in a long time. It's like her third fight this year. It's usually, which is insane because she was fighting like maybe one time a year, and she's back again for the third time. And it was funny to me, like Moreno said he was going to take a layoff, and it was 8 months, but like I did not expect to see him for a whole year when he come out and said he was going to take some time off. 8 months isn't that much to me. Like that's kind of your regular fight schedule instead of where I figured he said he was taking time off. I was like, oh, we probably won't see him for like another year and a half.
Yeah, they all want to take time off, but the way UFC makes fights, they always come a calling, So yeah, I don't know if it's because I've been aware this card was coming, and I'm not trying to shit on it by any means, because it's a pretty
good fight night card. The two number one contender type fights.
It's pretty decent. The prelims have been built great with Canadians. I know I'm going to feel different on Saturday, and maybe it's just coming off last Saturday, but I have never had less feeling about a card. And maybe it's just coming off that crazy shit, but
you're still damaged from seeing Max go down. I know how you feel.
Thinking about it, and definitely like thinking about the co-main event. Like I don't see how they don't give a title shot to the winner of that. Like I know for Rose it's probably next, but like especially if Rose wins, I think Blanchfield also, if she gets one off Rose.
Minior beat both of them. Minior beat both of them.
Yeah. So, she'll probably, kind of be next. But knowing how that division works, I don't think they'd like try to rebook Barber with one of them afterwards. But for me, like, do you know if that co-main, is it 3 rounds? Or because it was originally the main event and then they moved it to the co-main. So.
Let's see. Women's flyweight. How many rounds is this hold? Let's do that. Let's go to UFC Fight Night.
I don't know. I'm
shooting for 3.
I would guess they pitched it back to 3. Because I do stylistically think that makes a huge difference too. But Rose has been in these moments, and it seems like when
it's 5 rounds. It's 5 rounds because if you go to ESPN Bet, and you can get the total rounds over under 4.5.
Okay, So that makes sense because the fight was already booked, and with the sanctioning bodies and stuff, they probably just kept it 5.
Yeah.
And that right off the bat has me a lot more excited for it now, because we're gonna get we might not even need those 5, but it definitely feels kind of like a title eliminator to me. Because it does make it a little bit more like intriguing with like what they can do with the division and stuff. I think this is going to answer a lot of people's questions about Aaron there. So, that's a really good one. I could really go back and forth on it all day. I would probably lean Aaron and actually, I think I am going to go Aaron with that one because the last few times I have not seen Trevor Whitman in Rose's corner. And
Doofus. What's his name? Pat Barry.
Yeah, and I mean, granted, he knows his wife, but I think Trevor got a lot of the blame in the Esparza fight. But I really know nothing about the camp, so I can't really say anything. But I've just always found it odd that he's never. And granted, credit to Rose, she's won those fights without him. So I mean that's a big notch for her. So maybe she does have everything going on here, but yeah, I don't know. I could go back and forth with that one all day, but I'll probably lean Blanchfield there.
Yeah, I was looking at it. So Rose is the dog here at plus 110. Blanchfield the favorite at minus 130. But it's weird because if it goes to points, they've got Blanchfield at plus 145, Rose at 175. So I'm looking at like the path to victory, right? Like Blanchfield's gonna want to wrestle. I would definitely take the over on the rounds. I mean, it's at minus 290. But I'm just kind of. I'm probably leaning towards Blanchfield too. I'm just high on her. I know she lost to Finero earlier this year in that Jersey card. I think that was earlier this year, right? I feel like it was, or late last year.
Did all run together. Out saying she had an injury in that fight, or
I can't remember.
She just get outclassed that night.
I think she just got outclassed, and then in the main event again. You got Brandon Moreno versus Amir Albazi. Moreno, the favorite at 21 at minus 175, and Amir Albazi at plus 145.
Really?
I like Albazi as the dog here.
Who?
Moreno just hasn't looked good his last few fights.
It doesn't look good anytime judges have to score with him. That's what I say.
It's really all going to come down to that first round for me. Moreno has a tendency to kind of start slow and have to work back. And, he very well could be fully aware of that because he's talked about it in the past. So maybe he can actually, implement that in his game plan. But he has, been dealing with a lot of shit. We're not too far removed from the James Krause situation, no matter how much the UFC pretends we are. And, that's got to, especially he was champion when that happened. So
he won the belt. He won the belt. He won the belt under that camp.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be a mind fuck right there. But, I think it's just going to, maybe they're just coming down to experience in the end. Like if it goes, to the 4th and 5th round, but, I kind of expected that one to be more of a pick'em than the co-main event. Because, I mean, the co-main event is practically a pick'em, small plus money. But, I mean, I don't know. It's why I love
Moreno's last two fights, you're right, two split decisions. Like, I knew they were decision wins, but I didn't realize they were split, both Royval and Pantoja. So, it's... Yeah, and one of those was in Mexico, the Royval fight. So,
man, he gets a bad rap, and I think Bobby hit the nail on the head. He starts off slow, and then when it gets closer to the end, he has a very high tendency to try to put that volume on when it's necessary. But I think the judges are already like, how you lost, and it's happened to him twice. You know, tough one, man. Tough one.
Tough. And I like Moreno. He's fun to watch, especially like I'll never forget that Figgy, kind of marathons that we had them for those fights. Those were fun fights, and if he can get somebody to stay bang with him, I don't think Albasi wants to do that. But it'll be a fun one on Saturday.
Something telling from him. He did. Moreno got custom shorts, and Albasi said, "I got to do something to let him know I deserve custom shorts." So
shit.
Does he throw a little bit more,
volume?
Is that all gamesmanship? It's why I definitely value this pod, because I went from not being excited about this shit to now I'm all in, and I can't wait for Saturday. So
I hope everybody else
go. At least it's not in the stupid fucking Apex.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, at least it's in Edmonton. It'll be a good fight. Whit, before we get out of here, you got any final thoughts?
Man, so don't forget, we got LTS in the hoop resurfacing. That's right. The NBA season is completely underway. It's so much parity compared to last season going on, and we definitely got to talk about it. So I'm excited to let everybody know. Friday on the LTS network, we're going to be doing basketball, and more basketball Friday night. We got Jay, Bobby, myself. I think old man Scott's going to be recovering, but he's going to be in the chat, and probably Alan as well. But hey, got some time. Tell a friend, tell somebody, share it with me. We'll be right there on the LTS network. I believe at 10 o'clock because Bobby's in Vegas, and if time changes, I bet you I'll put it up there and have Bach and share it with everybody.
Yeah, that pretty much it. Have a good, happy Halloween, everybody. So hopefully take the kids out, trick or treat, do what you got to do tomorrow night. It is good trick or treat tomorrow. So happy Halloween. Other than that, I'll be back on the Bodkin Show tomorrow, Sunday morning. Catch us out on the morning dump. Me and my guy Johnny Cruz dump everything out in sports from the past week, plus a little pop culture, plus some music and movies, whatever. That's at 8 in the morning, East Central Time, 9 Eastern. So wake up, enjoy some coffee, enjoy some laughs with me and my guy, Johnny Cruz. Other than that, this has been another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. We'll be back 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern next Wednesday. We'll talk all about that UFC Edmonton card and God knows what else. This has been a fun one, man. I enjoy it. So be a friend, tell a friend, like, subscribe, share. We'll see you next Wednesday, folks.
I love it. You guys are so great.
Shout out.